Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you, and joined today by boys soccer coach Ben Steichen. Great to have you along, man.
Great to be back.
Hey, I talk to you all the time. First time I've got to talk to you on camera, though.
Yeah, that's
Usually
true.
we talk to each other while we're behind the cameras.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So, boys soccer got it going, and you got a senior-driven team. So, tell us how progress is going so far this season.
Progress is going good. We came out under fire pretty quickly with the rivalry game against Enid, and that started off really well. The guys were into it. They were all about playing, and they played a fantastic game and came out with a rivalry win and brought back a trophy that we've been kind of going back and forth with. First time they've had it in 5 years, so it's been great there. Had a few hiccups along the way at a tournament in Choctaw. That we've kind of had to get through, and then last night we played Woodward for homecoming and really showed the talent level that's there and the ability, and really a dominant performance last night. So we're sitting where we want to be at, 4-1. We're going into Stillwater's tournament coming up this weekend, where we're feeling confident and comfortable, and get a little bit of last gear up before we go into district play.
Yeah. So you told me 7 seniors on this team, or you play 7 to start. What's the benefits of having 7 seniors out there to start?
Experience, and then also knowing the idea that, hey, this could be the last game. This could be the last time you step out on the field. So you have a little bit of experience along with that drive of saying that you want to complete your senior year off. You want to complete your high school career off with positive quality season play. So
yeah. And you got to have the youth step up too. I mean, that's the other thing. It's people don't understand sometimes. Yeah, you may have a full senior starting lineup or mostly seniors, but those guys have to play against other guys on the field to get better, and iron sharpens iron. So talk about some of those younger ones that maybe if they're not getting a lot of time out there on the pitch, at least they're helping those guys really get better, and hopefully they will get their time one day.
Well, last night was a great example of it. We actually start 2 sophomores really, and having fantastic beginning sophomore years. You didn't get that slump yet. They're learning as they go. They have their hiccups, of course. Then we've got a couple of juniors that play into the mix, along with a couple of more seniors. So guys that are quite near is experienced, they're getting that time. But last night was really that opportunity. We were winning. We put an extra goal in, to get up to 4-0, and by that time we were subbing a few of those seniors off and getting some of those young guys into spots where they could learn, make mistakes, and it wasn't just driving back on the team and kind of put us in that spot. So those guys came in and they kept the flow of the game going. I mean, it went back to a little bit more 50-50. But they're still in there. They're still getting that time. They're still getting that vision of seeing what's going on with it and how to really play at this level. So it was fantastic for them, and they're hopefully going to get more times as long as we continue to progress and play like we played last night, because it was by far the best performance I've seen in a long time at Ponca City.
Well, that's good to hear. And sometimes there's a misconception, I feel like, with soccer. It's like, especially in Oklahoma, there's more and more awareness about it, but people are like, hey, you roll the ball out there, you kick it around. No, positioning, timing, there's all sorts of stuff, chemistry. I mean, it's just like any sport in a lot of those respects. And in some ways, I feel like soccer, more of that when it comes to chemistry and some of that timing.
It has to be. You go up against some of these teams that play together for a long period of time, or they're playing club. It's, all the way through, and you see that. They just have an idea of where a guy's going to be at. They can trust him to take somebody one-on-one. They don't have to move over to that spot, and then how to attack somebody. That's that tactical situation. So they're really going through, and they have those opportunities. And it doesn't matter where you're at, really, in the state of Oklahoma. Woodward is who we played last night. They're a 4A school, and they're scrappy, but they really have a lot of guys that are soccer-oriented. They play a lot of it. They have 45 guys out, and for a 4A school, we're sitting at 49 at 6. As a 6A school, that. Wow, they're getting the same amount of guys out, and they've got athleticism and talent when it comes to it. And so to really put that in perspective, that you can have it at any level, and you have to show up on those days.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about your philosophy, because this is the first time me talking to you. Like, every coach has their style. Some of them it's more defensive oriented. Some of them it's more offensive oriented. Sometimes your set on the field is going to represent that, also represent the team you have. So maybe not just overall your personal philosophy, but what your philosophy is on a season like this.
In a season like this, I mean, it's more about managing the players for me. I keep saying that. I got brought back in, and we knew we had talent, and I didn't want to mess with it a whole lot, and I still don't. we want to put people where they're supposed to be or where they can, best attribute to it there. But we just want to manage the squad with it. I'm a big believer in building from the ground up, having the mentality to kind of go in there and say, we're going to compete, we're going to learn. And that was our message last night was take every situation. We're going to continue to grow into the game, learn from everything, make mistakes, move forward, and go on. And we've been slowly able to kind of build from the back. So we start in the defense and we move up to the offensive side. And last night was a great showing of our defense doing what they're supposed to be doing and doing what we've been coaching into compact defense, into going in and finding those runs that are going to cut through the opposing team.
Yeah, and when it comes to soccer, too, the roles are so important, and they're more defined maybe in other sports because, like, you think of football, for instance, you have guys on offense and you have guys on defense. Soccer, you're all out there at the same time, but you still have a role of offense and defense. It's not like basketball where everybody's going to come back and play offense all of a sudden. There is a little bit that you have, but your role is more defined. You got to be back, not let anybody behind you. So kind of go through kind of some of the roles and some of the definitions that maybe some of these guys have this year for this team and how important they are.
For good starting spot is Licio Ramirez, one of our senior captains, plays in the central of the field. He's a center midfielder. And really his role is not the flashiest player. He's not going to go score goals all the time, which he could. He's not going to get the assists all the time. He's kind of the unsung hero with it because especially last night was a great showing of his leadership and his knowledge of the game. He was directing traffic defensively. A guy's needing to get set up. Hey, there's a guy there. Don't lose track of him. Go mark. And then he's stepping onto his man. So he's doing all these roles where he's staying close to the guy that's in his area, that's running through his area. He's making sure that he's playing great defense against him. And then when he's getting the ball, he's looking to distribute and talk to guys about where they can make runs as they go through. So he stays kind of central into the field. He doesn't really go out wide, doesn't get high up the field, doesn't get back in that defensive line. So everybody's got those set roles. Our attacking players are the same too. Gabe Rowland's going to play in our center forward, and his job is not to really always have to get wide. But if he does, then he takes over the role of a Caden Anderson who's out wide, who comes inside. And so they just kind of trade places, and that's been the blessing of this entire, senior-laden team is that they're really seeing those, and then they're working well within that. So everybody's got their roles, but they are interchangeable is the crazy thing about it. I kind of attribute it a little bit towards the basketball mindset where you're going to play different spots on the court. You're going to play offense and defense really quickly. You're going to be required to know what each one is doing as well as what your really position is. So you're there on that one and then really kind of getting in that mindset that you can dictate the place of the game where you're at.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's working, and you guys are getting better and better, and that's the main thing I think that's important is you want to see that growth as you go along. And I mean, the ultimate goal is to get in the playoffs at the end of the season. And unlike some other sports with playoffs, now they switched it for football, for instance, but with soccer now, it's still you have to be in that top four if you're going to make playoffs.
That's a huge deal. We talk about at the beginning of the season. We wanted to say we want to play our best soccer by the end of March. Basically, by the end of this tournament coming up, we want to be playing our best soccer going into Muskogee District next week and being able to say that we can compete every single game and grow into them and start continuing to really have that confidence to go in and play with top teams, tougher teams, as well as do what we need to against the teams that we're comparable to or maybe better than as we go into it. And right now we're looking and we're seeing that growth right now, and we're looking to continue it on, like I said, this weekend. But it is always that difficult thing. You can miss it on goal differential, which we've done several times. If you don't win 4 games, you're probably going to goal differential. Yeah. If you win 4 games, you could still be there and miss out because somebody, beat somebody they weren't supposed to. So it's a dogfight every year. I always feel like we're in the toughest district every year, and then other times, even if we're not in the toughest district, it's still a tough district.
Yeah, it is. And 6A, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of good soccer squads all around 6A. There's a lot in 5A, too. I mean, there's some good soccer across the state. Woodward, 4A, that's another good squad. And I think about it, we're in the midst of March Madness right now, right? So, I mean, we've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen over the past few weeks when it comes, you think of basketball and some of the little guys beating the big guys and all that. But when it comes to soccer, I feel like sometimes a big upset can be right there on the cusp because here's the thing. Unlike basketball where you may score 60 points, soccer, the difference can be 1 goal all of a sudden. So, I mean, it is just one good strike away and putting yourself in position for that. So there's always, like I said, when you talk about the difference between a first and a fifth place team can be very, very minimum when it comes to soccer.
Oh, that's without a question. We had that 2 years ago when I was here. Every game was one goal, with the exception of one game against Jinx. But it's always going to be that way. Enid this year was one goal, beautiful strike by Gabe Rowland, curled it around the keeper. But that was the difference in the game, in a rivalry game, against a team that's going to really push for a playoff spot in their district. So we're looking at doing the same thing. Last year was some close matches with the same district teams, and so this year we want to close that gap with some of those other squads that did dictate play, that did win those games. So we're looking to close that gap, continuing to learn, continuing to be there at the end of the game, and be playing our best soccer.
Well, let's hope you start getting some better weather. Today looks pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, today's going to be great, but the outlook is this weekend is not so great. We're going to be a little bit cooler, but anytime that we can get above 50 degrees, we're happy. That's normal for us. We'll play in rain, snow.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're still going to be there.
But it's a spring sport. We want spring weather. All right, so come on, Oklahoma. Let's get this going.
Definite.
Hey, appreciate your time, Ben, and best of luck. Let's go get playoffs this year, and who knows? I mean, once you get in there, like I said, you're just a goal away from making a run.
Anybody's game then.
All right, well, Ben, appreciate the time.
Appreciate
man.
it, sir.
Ben Steichen, coach of the boys soccer, and that's going to do it for today's Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff saying so long. Until next time, go Cats.